everybody. Welcome back to Tyman on Tap. This week's episode, we are live in Wallingford. While I'm live, you're going to see this post-production. So it won't be live for you, but it's live for us. And you can pretend it's live, because you don't know what's going to happen next unless you already saw the show, and then why are you watching it again? Well, thank you. I appreciate it. If it's on YouTube, I like the clicks. Then keep clicking. All right, so next week we have some Grateful Dead artists coming in to talk about covering one band and doing set lists that were wrote 40 years ago. But this week we're going to change it up. We're going to go from the jam to a little more thrashiness, a little more metal. We're going to talk to a local band centered around New Haven, traveling all far from New Hampshire to find the metal. We have Mind Over Masters, a local metal band, and I'll let them actually. Hello, guys. Why don't you describe the genre you guys put in the email about what your band plays?
What did you say in the email, Matt?
Well, I said that we were. Well, I don't recall this properly now. It was picture Motorhead, Misfits, Melvins, and Black Sabbath thrown in a blender and then poured out into a frosty pint glass with an inch of sludge in the bottom.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have done better than that. It's pretty good. But if you wanted to boil that down, you could say sludge, stoner rock is pretty much the circles that we travel in.
Okay. So why don't you introduce yourselves? You're two of three of Mind Over Master.
Yeah,
right?
our third couldn't be here. Brian Harris is our drummer. He couldn't be here tonight. I am Wyatt, and this is Matt. I play guitar and I sing, and he plays the bass, and he also sings. That's one of the funny things, critiques about what I hear about us both is we can't understand what you say. Like, yeah, well, that's not always not on purpose.
Yeah. So do you do a lot of screaming, or is it just more...
No screaming. We decided right from the beginning there was going to be no screaming or growling. There was way too much of that going on, and we don't like it. And we're not going to do things we don't like. So, no, if anything, it's very gruff yelling or growling at points. Vocalizing, yeah. And Matt's actually a pretty clean, what I call talk singing. It's like it's more like just talking at somebody with a lot of force.
Okay.
And yeah, very punk style. That's the funny thing about what we do is no matter what we do, there's going to be a lot of punk in it. Matt and I especially, our whole backgrounds are punk primarily. We love metal, and we always will, but a lot of the stylistic choices we make do tend to be punk in origin.
Well, I was just noticing your patches on your vest. You got Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
You had, I think, Operation Ivy on your back or something like that.
Yeah, Op Ivy. And I'm starting to get more bands. I want to get patches of the bands I know. Goat Herder here, good friends of ours, awesome band. We're going to be playing a show with them at the end of the month on Halloween with the Misfits, actually.
Wow.
Huge influence on both Matt and I.
That's what I just mentioned.
And Brian to a lesser extent, but yeah, we're pretty stoked about that.
So, but you know, like the modern Misfits, like you don't know like the original lineup, or do you?
No, well, yeah, the lineup. I don't want to say for sure what it'll be. I think I know, but I don't want to say and be wrong. So I mean,
is there going to be Danzig?
You know what? Probably not, because I mean, what would Glenn Danzig be if he wasn't being Glenn Danzig and not showing up for a show? So I mean, that's kind of the problem with Glenn Danzig. We love him, and he's a great vocalist. But,
yeah. What about Doyle?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Any chance of Doyle?
No, Doyle doesn't do. We were just talking about this on the way up here. Doyle doesn't do Misfits. Now he's like Doyle from the Misfits.
Yeah.
He's always going to do Doyle now, and it's great. I've seen him live too. He's pretty good.
He just came through Connecticut recently, and he's in
He did.
Springs.
Some friends of ours opened for him.
That's awesome.
Stafford Springs, I think. Right?
Yeah. In the North Country.
What's cool about him too is just a little thing about Jerry. He's a mill worker, and he makes his own guitars, like graphite necks and stuff like that. Because he's got a death grip when he plays, and he was breaking guitars, so he just started making his own guitars.
Really?
And now all of them, that's the only thing he'll play is his custom models that he builds himself out of his shop in New Jersey.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Cool stuff. I like that. Yeah.
So I think you guys have met a lot of people then, and like more of the famous people in your genre?
No, not at all.
Okay.
A few
No.
here and there.
Yeah.
Nothing like
We're not
rubbing elbows with the
Exactly.
big
We're not
boys or
rubbing
anything like
elbows
that,
with any of these people at this point. No, we're small potatoes, but we've been around a while, and we've met a lot of the local people. Almost all the people in our genre and our milieu that we play with are great. We love them, and that's really what I try to focus on most. Is I want to perpetuate. I want to make this scene and perpetuate it, and just try to have it be something that can grow, something that can go somewhere, because there's a lot of super talented people in Connecticut making music right now that, frankly, no one are going to hear unless we try harder and really get it out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands, right?
Oh, tons. Yeah.
Oversaturated.
Yeah.
Tons and tons.
Well, the saturation. When you say a lot of bands, the saturation doesn't come from like good original bands like us. It's the Connecticut problem. It's not just Connecticut, but the Connecticut problem is the cover bands. And I'm not going to, you want to be in a cover band, I'm not going to say no, but when we're competing with bands who play songs that everyone already knows already,
yeah.
That's really super tough, because the bar owner who basically makes the conditions under which we play says, I can get more money by having these bands in here, so why should I let you in, and why should I give you any kind of time? And it didn't used to be that way, but it is that way now, and that's kind of the state of things.
Cover bands make a hell of a lot more money than original bands.
Oh yeah.
Even right off the rip,
Yeah, but there's only a certain point where a cover band can only make this much money, where an original band has potential, like unlimited potential.
They have more potential.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, that's a good way to put it, because out the gate, you're right. The cover band can make anything. Yep. They can make hundreds of dollars in a night.
$500-$600 nights are not all that uncommon for those kind of bands.
Yeah. And and the sad thing is that if we could do that, if we could make $100 in a night, even every night reliably, I think that there's no reason we couldn't do all the things that we want to do, like record a legitimate album, which is what we're kind of struggling to figure out how to do right now.
So, do you guys have an album together, like an earlier one, or are you still?
Yeah, we have a demo. We have an EP that a very good friend of ours, Dave Gilbertson, recorded for us.
For free, might I add.
For free, yeah. He's a great guy, and we made a deal with him for free, and he did our album, and it's great. And but that was over a year ago, and any band that's worth their salt is growing all the time, and we've grown, and we're in a slightly different place than we were a year ago, like any good band will be. So we're really itching to get in the studio and get some really good wax done.
We've written some new material since the
a lot of new material.
So
It's
markedly different.
How long have you guys been together? So we get some like kind of time.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So you think in the 3 years you guys have right now you guys are a very different band than you were when you started?
Absolutely.
I'd say so.
We didn't leave everything behind, but
Stylistically,
yeah, stylistically, we made some choices. When our new drummer came into the picture, because Brian has not been with us from the beginning. Mike DiCillo was our original drummer.
He's your Pete Best.
What's that?
He's your Pete Best.
Oh no! I'm not even
not
going
in those terms.
No. I'm not even going to go there. He's a great friend of ours. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Good friend of mine.
He just couldn't continue on in the capacity that we were doing. And when Brian came in the picture, we kind of decided literally to make some specific choices about the stylistic direction and about the content and things like that. And it's right around that time that we recorded, but we were recording on old songs that Brian had just learned.
Yeah.
So it's, for a lot of reasons, it just wasn't, the recordings aren't super everything that we ever always wanted. But, it didn't have to be. It serves our purposes really well. But nonetheless, we just want to get into a studio, do up a real album and get it out there. Maybe tour on it one day if we're lucky.
Well, we're going to come back in about 2 minutes for you guys, and we'll talk more about what the future may hold.
All right.
So you guys, you have a patch with your patches of all the bands that you like, obviously. Not all of them, probably.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of
It
bands.
says American on it, whatever that means. I think
that's so it's clear. so no one gets confused.
There you go.
And you also have band tats. So, I mean...
I'm a tattoo enthusiast.
Is that a Ramones tattoo, or is it just a American?
Yeah, no, that's the Ramones eagle.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I've got quite a bit going on, but there's my Crimson Ghost. This is my first tattoo. This is the front cover of
That's a new one. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, this is Anti-Flag, Bad Religion, Ramones. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's Iron Maiden.
Is that the Eagles?
No. This is just a crow, but this is I had a brother. I lost a brother a few months ago, and he loved Kiss, and Sean was his name, so I got the Kiss logo with him. This is a band called Red Fang. It's another huge influence on me and everything I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it for the band.
Bad Religion? You mentioned that one?
Yeah, Bad Religion. Yeah, there. I got other tattoos that are less camera friendly. I'll put it that way. My girlfriend is a tattooer, so she hooks me up. But I love the whole thing. Before I met her, anyway, tattoos has always been my thing. So,
what do you think it is about people who really like a band? Why do they want it tattooed on them? Like, what? Because I have a Beatles tattooed on my arm, and it's Sanskrit. So occasionally, because I live in New Haven, people ask me questions like, "Oh, why do you have this mantra on your arm?" I'm like, it's just Beatles lyrics, nothing really out of this world. But why do you think people like to get bands tattooed on them? Like, it's something so permanent, right?
I can only tell you me. I can't tell you people.
Yeah.
I will say, generally for people, the kind of person that would get a tattoo is the kind of person that would get a tattoo of a band they liked for the most part, because if you're like us, music is the thing for you. It's the thing that drives you. And paying homage to your influences, for some of us, is a really big thing. And I do not mind giving body real estate to people I really love and respect. So, and I like tattoos anyway. So, and I think there are some other people out there that feel that way as well, but I can't speak for them. So
I noticed you don't have any visible
I have
tattoos.
0 tattoos.
Yes, zero. This is our drummer.
No, I
and
never
again,
had my ears pierced either.
Yeah, our drummer, he's like me. He's covered in tattoos. He got a lot of them in Argentina, where he's from too, and they're really great. And he has none. And this is a constant. It's a constant
They're
joke.
trying to get me too.
Yeah, we're always joking around like, oh, you're gonna get that. I can't remember what I said. A couple weeks ago, I was ribbing him about a tattoo he should get, and it happens all the time.
So, what are your influences?
Musically?
Yes, or anything. I don't know.
I'm a huge Melvins fan.
Yeah.
Pretty much for forever and ever. He used to get a T-shirt. I actually gave it to him, that T-shirt. Sabbath. Zeppelin.
Oh,
all the usual suspects for classic rock, and I like a lot of early '80s new wave stuff. 90s. Big Morrissey fan. Kind of all over the place.
You know, Morrissey just today came out and said he had cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that. I just saw that today. Explains all those canceled shows.
Well,
He hasn't
we
come
still
out with
admit.
what? No, he hasn't come out with what kind of cancer yet. So.
Well, we'll let him have that.
Yeah, we can keep that private, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad. But so you're really all over the place then, right?
Yeah, shockingly enough.
I am too. I made it sound real narrow, but I mean, I love Jim Croce. I love the Beatles. I love all kinds of different stuff. But
it's very interesting because all your stuff screams very punk rock, and you're like, even though you look very metal though.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what the whole thing with us is it's the difference between what you see and what you hear.
Yeah.
Because like those influences are there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone can pick up on them. Like for example, I wrote a song, and to me, it's very specifically in the style of this band. Mm-hmm. But people who weren't familiar with that band, they're not going to necessarily hear that. But then again, they can see it in other places.
Yeah.
So again, it's paying homage to your influences and the people that drive you, and also it's the visual impact of a vest like this. I mean, it's pretty badass. I mean, let's just be honest.
He's super
cool.
badass.
It's pretty awesome. You have Nirvana, which not really like any of the other bands you have.
Yeah, because that's me. That's me specifically. I could care less. I'm sorry. I hate when people say that. I couldn't possibly care any less about what people think about this or that. Unless you want to ask me about it, I don't care if you think this patch should be on here or not. These are people that are, that had something to say. They spoke to me personally, and I'm just reflecting that outward. It's just, and frankly, that mixing, that's how you get the best results musically speaking. You got to take things that left, right, and center shouldn't be going together and finding how they're similar, and because how you do that, that's your voice. That's how you get yourself out there artistically, so people can, hear you.
I like metal. It's not. I just can't take all metal all the time. I got to have other things going too. I'm sure everybody's similar. Yeah.
So, I would say like metal, hardcore, and punk are kind of like three faces of the same thing, right? They're just like
they're all rock genres if you think about it.
Yeah. But I feel like it's like
similar.
if you go to like a pop rock like band, like some like I don't mean like some Fruity Doo pop, but I mean like pop like the Beatles type of pop rock band, and like you compare them to like punk, it's kind of different. But when you compare like punk and hardcore and metal, it's kind of like it feels like more
extreme genres.
Yeah, they're much more aggressive styles. That's what they all have in common, is that they're aggressive styles.
Yeah,
they're aggressive in their own way. I could have a whole other show that talks about the stylistic origins of where they came from, how they got there, and what band is in what other band. Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. I like to geek out on metal genres and stuff like that. It's annoying to a lot of people, so I'm not going to do it.
What's your favorite subgenre?
My favorite extreme subgenre of metal actually is I guess what you would call stoner rock, or the stoner rock, sludge, what you would call desert rock kind of triad, I guess.
So can you define it to the audience?
And doom too, doom metal.
Who doesn't love doom metal though?
All good people like doom metal.
Yeah.
I mean, Sabbath invented the first doom song. It was the first song in their first album, and they not only invented heavy metal, they invented an extreme subgenre with their first song.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't give enough thanks to Black Sabbath for what they did for us. we wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for them.
So are you guys into any of the more the modern like black metal or death metal, or is that too much violence, or?
The funny thing is, I like the original band Death, Chuck Schuldiner, and it's that's from the '80s. The stuff that's out nowadays, to me, it's just basically trying to be that.
Yeah.
But I'm a fuddy-duddy too. I don't take in new things very easily.
I like. The thing is, black metal, because you mentioned black metal specifically.
Yeah.
Real black metal hasn't existed in any significant form, in my opinion, since its last major incarnation was probably the early '90s.
Okay.
You get the first incarnation of black metal in the late '70s, well, very late '70s and early '80s with the church burnings and all. I'm sorry, that's the early '90s, the church burnings. Yeah. But black metal is much more about like the stuff you do when you're off stage, in my opinion. When you're on stage, it's you wear black, you wear corpse makeup, you play very fast tremolo picking at an incredible volume for a set amount of time, and then you leave and kill a band member or burn down a church or do something like that. See, that's when it was cool, though. I mean, now there's a bunch of kids who own 300 black T-shirts and have never seen the light of day, and they call themselves black metal.
Yeah.
And that's cool. It's great to add black metal as a little spice into your music, but I don't know. I can't really dig into that.
Yeah,
so the short answer to your question is no. I don't get into any of the modern incarnations of those genres. In fact, most of what we do is throwback to either the early to mid '90s or the late '70s or the late '60s. Yeah. So primarily. Blue Cheer. Blue Cheer is another one that's pretty overlooked, very overlooked band.
So what about a band like 3 Inches of Blood? Have you heard?
Oh, I love 3 Inches of Blood. That's one of my favorite bands ever. That's a good one, man. Yeah. That's what, if you want to geek out on genre, that's, I guess, what you would call, I think like ogre metal or fantasy metal, but they're not as bad as all the other bands that get trapped in that. I'm sorry, I'm getting real bad on that genre. But I've been with them since their first album, and everything they do is gold to me.
They're
they
on
can't
hiatus
do anything
right
wrong.
now, right? Or
What's that?
they're not recording right now, are they? They're on hiatus?
No, because they go through lineup changes every other year. Those guys, unfortunately, I think original band members. I don't know how many of them are left, but it's probably only like 2 or 3.
I remember I went to see them for at Free Fest. The Ozfest was free one year, and they kicked out one of their members before they started touring. And they had they just replaced them as they were touring on Ozfest, and like you could kind of hear like was it their drummer? It might have been their drummer or like it was something in the rhythm section. You just like that doesn't like that guy just like hasn't played with the band that long.
Yeah, he hasn't melded in there yet. Yeah, well, when you're at that level, yeah, you can pick up the musician in every city to play your show, but yeah, will it be great? No, probably not.
Yeah.
But like I said, to me, they can't do any wrong. I like everything they do. So
it's really great, like the screaming and the fantasy lyrics, and then like the Iron Maiden melodic metal in the back going on in the background.
And of course, that's what I like most about it is the Maiden quality in it is guitar harmonies and what I call actual real heavy metal.
Yeah.
Because that gets forgotten too, like what real heavy metal actually used to be. They still do that. Them and there's a band called Skeleton Witch and Battlecross and a couple other bands that are really bringing that epicness back to metal and making it sound good at the same time.
That's good because like I said, I've been to Ozfest before, and you're just like fans. You're just like I don't want to hear you anymore. I got to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that enough.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Especially the second stage, like when these big like touring festivals, the second stage you can have some real big strikeouts there. Like,
or some winners. Actually, the last Ozfest I went to, which was probably like 2002, God Forbid was on the second stage, and again I'm showing the years now. But they were great, and I was like, why is God Forbid, this is great band, why are they on the second stage? Well, because Rob Zombie's here.
Yeah.
So, and nothing against Rob Zombie personally, I don't like any of his art, but
not his movies, nothing.
No. I could have a whole other show about how much I don't like his movies. Are you kidding me?
Connecticut artist, isn't he from like Waterbury, somewhere over there?
The term sophomoric comes to mind when I watch his movies. It's very. Did you? Okay, I'm just gonna say this. Did you see the end of Devil's Rejects? They play they play Freebird at the end of it, and all the stuff at the end of the movie is going on while it's playing it.
Yeah.
But the entire sequence is in slow motion. This is not an episode of Baywatch. This is a major movie. Okay, you don't do a Freebird length section of your movie all in slow motion. And that's what I mean by it's like sophomore year. You've been in for it was his sophomore movie, I think, as a matter of fact. You've been in for 1 year, you think you know everything, and then you do 20 minutes of slow-mo in the end of your movie.
Some epic, like, Lord of the Rings type of battle.
Except there was nothing epic about it, in my opinion. I mean, like, a lot of people really like that movie, and I'm not, you like what you like, I don't really care. But for my slice of pie, it just wasn't going down very well.
I actually saw that in a film class in college. Like, somebody's like, this is the best movie ever. It's so historic and stuff. No. It was like the term like historic. There was something like really that perturbed me as a student of whatever of that class that person can have those feelings about that movie. Like, and it wasn't like it was like a great movie. It was like this movie is like Godfather 2 type of thing. It's like
No, I think those people that think that way, I think they're just devotees of Rob Zombie in general. Yeah. There are a lot of people like that. Actually, you know what? I said I don't like his art. His visual art is actually very good. I love that kind of drawing on your notebook kind of animated quality that he has. He did the trip sequence in the Beavis and Butthead movie. He did that. And I love that kind of style. That's really cool. So I shouldn't say that I don't like any of his art.
What about White Zombie?
What's that?
White Zombie, you're not a fan of?
Oh, White Zombie's first 2 albums were amazing. I love that.
He's the singer from White Zombie, right?
He was, yeah. But his guitar, I'm just going to say this, I think his guitar player was much more responsible for my liking White Zombie than he was. I never got into the whole I'm the Living Dead with dreads thing.
Yeah.
Never got into that. It's just way too much image for me personally. I can't get over that. Just can't. It was the same thing in the beginning with Slipknot. I like Slipknot, but in the beginning I couldn't get over the fact that it was 9 guys with masks and the whole shebang-a-bang. It was just too much.
Like Guar.
But I like them now. But Guar is totally different. Guar is such a spectacle, and I've seen them too. Actually, I was supposed to see the Misfits that night, and during Guar, some jackaninny, he tore a fire extinguisher off the wall and thought it would just be the funnest thing ever to blow it in people's faces. I got a big face full of it, and it gave me the worst headache I've ever had in my life, and I get headaches really bad.
Yeah.
And so I saw most of Guar and then had to go leave and not see the Misfits, which is a real bummer. That was a long time ago. That was like 99 or 2000 or something like that.
Have you seen Lordy?
No.
Very Gore-esque type of band. It's Swedish. All right, I think we're going to take a quick break and come back and wrap up the show. Hey, everybody, we're back. We have a song that you guys recorded. And do you want to describe what it is?
Yeah, it's called Toys for Nukes.
Okay.
And it's basically about how, how people grow up as children playing with toys. And they rapidly progress through life, and eventually they're playing with nuclear bombs. It's
about what, lyrically speaking, it's about it's not how you turn into a bad person, it's just that you turn into a bad person.
Right.
It's lyrically speaking, that's what it's about, I guess. And I think I chose nuclear proliferation as a theme, I think, because the name just kind of stuck. A lot of times we come up with the name first, and then we kind of let that guide everything. I think a lot of people do that. So we came up with the name, and I'm like, all right, wrote lyrics to it, and man, people bump their heads with this one too. They love hearing this one on stage too.
Well, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, I think George Harrison wrote that because somebody's like, you can't write a song around While My Guitar Gently Weeps, those words, and he wrote that whole entire song.
Jeez, and we know how that worked out.
Yeah.
I wish people would tell me more often, you can't do this. I'm like, oh yeah, really?
All right, so let's. So thanks everybody for watching this week. Thanks, Mind Over Masters. Next week we got Mountains of the Moon, which is slightly change of pace from these guys. So check us out on the social medias. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Flickr, Instagram, all those fun places. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you guys for coming, and let's watch your song.
Bye.